Hello and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah McIntyre. How are you doing? So I've got probably 2 more episodes, including this one, in me. I know that I promised you a mediumship demonstration, but what I have decided to do is add that on once it's recorded as a bonus addendum to season 5, so that I can get season 5 wrapped up and off my never-ending to-do list and focus on some other projects. So I'm going to try and get today's stuff recorded. We've got loads of listener questions and commentary and things like that to work through. First up, I have got this voice message from Gemma, all the way in Australia.
My name's Gemma. I live in Melbourne, Australia. I have done for a really long time, but originally from the UK. Anyway, I've been listening to your podcast for quite a while, and I felt compelled to send you a voice note over WhatsApp. Never done that before. About the last episode that you put up about catalysts for becoming or evolving your mediumship. I'm not a working medium. It's just always been there since really young. But definitely agree with the catalyst. So I'll stop this and I'll press record again. So the catalyst, totally agree. It really, really resonated when I was listening to the podcast today. And for me, for sure, there was catalyst, there was a couple, and now I've got older and, you learn family secrets. I was like, the jigsaw pieces, they all fit together. But, yes, totally with the catalyst, something just really pushes you or just switches in your head. Depends on the circumstance. For example, when I had my last child, 2.5, 3 years ago, it was just so intense about, it was just stop holding off and just do what you're meant to do kind of thing. I don't have a choice. So for me now, my spiritual journey is in full force. But again, with the catalyst, I was listening to this person on Instagram the other day, and her mum's sick, and she's like, I'm feeling really intuitive lately. And I thought, you know what? I don't know how sick her mum is, but I think she was pretty bad. And I was like, that's because her mum is sick and she's connected so much to her mother. I mean, of course, like most people are, you grew inside your mother's body. So energetically, she's really connected, and she's feeling, just how much her mum, when you say the veil thins, and I feel like when someone really close to you dies, that something switches over to you. I can't quite explain it. It's a hard one to explain. Maybe I think about it, and because I've not thought about what I'm going to say to you, so it might be all a bit, a bit of a jumble sale conversation going on here. Anyway, so just to finish off, I just thought, when someone really close to you is passing over or is really sick, yes, I do think something happens to your body and that veil thins and something happens to you as a person, and it just ignites something in, maybe that's, we all have it and it happens, but some people just more, in tune with it and recognize it more. But yeah, love listening to your podcast. And if you're ever in Melbourne, I'm sure I'll come along and I'll see that you're, around. Or if I'm ever in the UK, I will see if you've got any dems going on anywhere. And yeah, so thanks for all your hard work and all the good energy. I really like listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much for getting in touch, Gemma. And does it not feel like a lifetime ago I was talking about all of this stuff? It really, really does. But yes, I'm really glad that resonates with you. And what an interesting thing to think, not only for this soul that is departing and moving to the spirit world, it has an impact, but also for those that are being departed from, that it does something to us and opens us up. It's all so interesting. I love it. Thanks for getting in touch. Next up, I have an email from Sue. And Sue says, hello from Cornwall. It's so lovely to hear you back on the podcast and sounding positive and well. I've got a question for an upcoming podcast that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Why am I so hard to read? I have read so much, listened to so much, and have quite a lot of experience and knowledge about what makes a good sitter, and I try my utmost to be the best sitter I can be. But recently, it's emerged that apparently I'm hard to read. Often in circle, people can give all the other circle members spot-on readings, but when it comes to me, I just can't take what they give. When I asked my circle leader why that might be, she did confess that she thinks I'm hard to read, and I won't lie, it quite upset me, and I took it as a bit of an insult, which I know it was definitely not intended to be. The following week I went to Spirit Quest weekend, and in between workshops I booked for a private reading with a well-known top medium. People were saying how lucky I was to get a slot with him, and his demo to the ballroom in the evening was superb. However, I was so disappointed with my private reading. I could only take about 20% of the evidence he gave me, and I didn't feel like he was connecting with my loved ones. What do you think? What's going on? Am I somehow unintentionally blocking it? Am I trying too hard, or something else? Look forward to hearing your take on it. Much love, Sue. Ah, Sue. I don't think you're the problem here. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain people that are easier to read for than others. But I have a wonderful position here because I've met you, Sue. So I know, because I met you when you came to my Glastonbury gig, that you have a lovely, open, supportive energy. So sometimes it can be the sitter. I don't think it is in this case. Now, this is challenging, and I'm trying to think of the best way to navigate this. When I first started working with Spirit, when somebody gave me a message like, you have a lovely purple aura, or I see a lot of golden light coming out of you, it made sense to me. It was magical to me. As I have followed the evidential path more and more and been and held myself accountable more and more to a standard of evidence, I no longer think that is what constitutes a good reading. And therein lies the rub. Because if you've got somebody who's right at the beginning of their journey, who just can't believe all this magic and mystery is happening, then if they get a message like, now here's always my go-to example, you guys may have heard this before, but like, I can see your path, and I know there's been some really difficult times recently, some unexpected twists and turns, but I can also see that you have picked yourself up and you are moving forward. You have got a determination and you are ready for the next phase. I reckon that would apply to every single person listening to this podcast. Does it make it false? No. Does it make it generic? Maybe a little. But at the beginning of my journey, I would have been so over the moon to give somebody that message, and I would have been so over the moon to have got that message. And I'm not being shady if that's the kind of messages you're giving and receiving. If it's right for you, bloody fantastic. But I know, Sue, that you've been on a bit of a quest. And you say it in your thing, you've read so much, listened to so much. So now you know that actually there is no point if someone says banana hammock to you and you can't take banana hammock. I don't know why that popped into my head, but you know. There's no point saying yes when it's a no. It does nobody a favour. And so what you would probably find if you could sit inside everybody's heads is that there are some people in the circle who are just like, oh my God, yes, I have been on a twisty, turny, bumpy path. Oh my God, that is so correct. That is so right. Because they're so excited to receive that message. And that's not wrong. That's just the way it is. And yet you've also got people, oh, where was I going with this? I've got some resistance to this one. I think after a while, we just stop saying yes to everything we're getting. I think we start to say, well, I'm not sure about that. And maybe when we want it to be more specific. And that's a natural evolution in your mediumship that should happen if you develop over time. And it's important. I also want to say that I think it's really important that people do say no when things don't resonate, because all mediums make mistakes and it gives us a chance to rectify it, to go back and check where we went wrong, what we misunderstood. But it also gives us space to be wrong, to understand when we're getting things incorrect. And that is important too. As for the private reading with a well-known top medium, I will say this. When I have been to see well-known top mediums demonstrate, I may have told this story. I know I'm always saying I may have told this story, but we can add that to the bingo, can't we? But I was really, really excited to see a well-known, well-renowned medium near me. So excited that they were even coming to Kent, couldn't believe it. And when I booked in, I was overjoyed to see many of my students that I've been teaching in person in the audience. And when he demonstrated, he was a phenomenal medium in the sense that he was very likable, very funny, very engaging, very charming. But that night, the evidence was shit. It was really, really bad. Now, what is interesting about this is I noticed two things with this evening. Number one, that there were people in the audience that were so desperate to have his eyes lay upon them, so desperate to have a message from him, that quite often they were taking things that they should have said no to. So he would say, I know that this person died of cancer. I don't think he was even that specific. And they would say, not cancer, but I can understand why you'd say that. Or he would say, I know they've got a cat. And they would say, not a cat, a dog, but, you know, I can understand why you'd say that. It was a small dog. And there was just an awful lot of the audience having to work incredibly hard to place bits of evidence. And that was also somewhere where I heard him say things like, you've got a lovely aura, to a lady in the audience, who I later heard in the bar saying it was the best reading she'd ever had. But all he'd really done is blown smoke up her bum. All he'd done is picked her out in a room and gone, you have a beautiful aura. When, let's be honest, everybody has a beautiful aura. And she had been so filled with her being seen, which I'm not saying isn't important, so please don't get me wrong, everybody, that it wasn't evidential. And when I saw my students afterwards and we all went out for a drink, and I said, so tell me guys, what did you think? Expecting them all to say, oh, a bit disappointed. They went, oh, he was amazing. Best medium I've ever seen. Phenomenal. And then when I said, can you give me one piece of evidence, one piece from any of the links that we saw that night that was evidential, unique, specific, they couldn't give me one. Not one from a whole evening of mediumship. And yet they had all walked away saying he was amazing. And so that's always been something very interesting that I've talked to Spirit about a lot, because I know that evidentially I am not the best medium. I know I'm not. But I also know what makes me good on platform is that I'm engaging and I'm funny. And he probably knows he's not the best medium for evidence that's ever walked the face of the planet, but he's likable, he's kind, and he's funny. And that doesn't mean there isn't a value there. The problem is when you get somebody in a one-on-one situation and they can't take the evidence and they leave feeling disheartened, that you have now taken that to be a problem with you. But was it a problem with you? Or are you just a little bit analytical? And is it bad to be a little bit analytical? If you know you're holding an open space and you're excited and you're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen, is that a bad thing? I don't know. So I think I don't agree with your circle leader, I'm afraid. I don't think you have a difficult energy unless you're a completely different person in circle to the person I met. But I do think sometimes people say yes when it's really a no in circles because they don't want to dishearten somebody and they think they're doing them a favour. It's a really hard thing, isn't it? When you're empathic and you're sat and somebody's demonstrating or trying to do something for you and you're like, you don't want to crush their dreams of being a medium. And it's a really hard thing to get through to people that actually you have to, because you're not doing anybody any favours. And I know of people who were told that they were brilliant in their practice groups, so decided to set up as mediums, and then they had paying customers in front of them who couldn't take anything they said, and they've contacted me and said, where has my connection gone? And their connection hasn't gone anywhere. But they'd just been given a false sense of security in their abilities from people saying yes when really they should have been going no. So it's really, really hard, Sue, and it really is a funny line to tread, because if we're completely honest, the people that are the easiest to read for are the people that give the big gushing reactions. The people that go, oh my God, thank you. Oh, that's so great. Oh, you're so phenomenal, because you start to believe in yourself. And if you're like me and you're a little bit more reserved and a little bit more, okay, then it does make you harder to read for, but not hard to read for. It's not giving. Mediums should not only be able to work with people who gush. That's the best way I can phrase it. If you can only work with people that go, oh my God, you're amazing, you're so incredible, then it's, the general public are not like that. So actually, Sue, you're doing people a favour by saying, I'm not sure about that, and no, that doesn't resonate with me. It is a hard path, my dear, but I'm not just saying it. I really don't think it's you, and I actually think you're doing the right thing, making people work a bit harder to get it right. Because when somebody does eventually get it right for you, they'll know that it was really right. And that means more than working with the sitter. I've gone off on another tangent, but I remember being at AFC when I was really looking for sort of, I believed then that we had predestined paths and that Spirit were going to show me whether evidential mediumship was the path for me. And I really wanted them to prove to me that they wanted me on the evidential mediumship team. And there was this woman there from America at AFC who put her hand up in a demonstration that I did, and she took everything. She was like, yeah, oh my God, yeah, that's great. Oh, amazing, yeah. And I was like, freaking hell, I'm fantastic. Until the second day, when she took another spirit from somebody else. And then on the third day, when she took a spirit from somebody else. And then on the fourth day, when she took a spirit from somebody else. And I thought, oh, and it just completely pulled the rug out from under me, because I realised that she just really likes receiving links. She will not twist, but kind of the evidence to fit who it is she's decided who is through. I mean, I would be sitting there thinking, I had a message yesterday. There's 100 people in this room. I'm not going to get a message today. It's a different type of person that will just keep putting their hand up, and kudos to her. But it did more harm than good for me, because I had this moment of believing in my sheer brilliance, and then it was taken away. So you keep doing you, Sue, because we need people to be honest. And that is the most important thing in our mediumship at the moment, I believe. Next up, I've got a question from Cheryl. And Cheryl says, the latest question I can't get my head around is, we are here for the human experience. I've kind of got that bit answered. So if we were here for a fully human experience, why would Spirit give us access to part of the spirit world through mediumship? Why not just let us have a fully human experience? What is the purpose of allowing some of us to follow the spiritual path? If we are needed to help people through their darkest days to support and show humans that this is not just it, why not allow us all to have some memory of the spirit world so we can have our worldly experience with the comfort in knowing there is more? Does that make sense? It does, Cheryl, and I don't really know if I have an answer for you on this one, because this kind of goes back to the discussions we've been having on the school about whether Spirit really want to do mediumship, because, and this goes back to the physical mediumship and the trance. Why does it always feel like there's a spanner in the works? Why, if they can do physical mediumship, don't they just physically apparate for everybody so that everybody knows? I don't know. Is there some kind of path, destiny for certain people to believe in a spirit world, and path, destiny for other people who don't, so that we can have the yin and the yang? I just don't know. I just don't know. And it's really important to think about. Even if you can't come to an answer with it, even if you... I was talking to my lovely friend Sue today. We went out for lunch, ate a huge amount of tapas. It was marvellous. But we were talking about some concepts, and I just said, I can't get it. And she said, it's like trying to grab hold of a cloud. And that's exactly what it's like. You think about answers like this, and you think, well, because of this. And then your brain goes, but what about that? And then you go, oh, and it's gone again. And in honesty, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to sit and ask Spirit about and talk to Spirit and try and work out. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. All I can say is they seem to want to do mediumship because they communicate with us. But then I also wonder if they have a choice. If we're altering our state, if they're just there going, oh, I'm just trying to be a part of everything that ever was and everything that ever will be, and you keep coming in here and going, oi, give me some evidence, and trying to get stuff from them. So I hope that some listeners will give their take on this. I'm batting it back to you guys, because this one I just don't have an answer for. But I find it fascinating to sit and think about. But who knows? Who knows? If you look at Aaron, who messaged about the trance medium in the last episode, and, you know, he's going there to that church really in need, really in need, just to get a meaningless message. You've got Sue, who's just done that email saying, you know, I had this moment with this well-renowned medium, and I'm so excited to be there, and then still not getting a message that lights me up. And I've had that, and I don't know. I feel like the breakdown in all of it is us as the mediums. It's our ability to connect. It's our trust in what we're receiving. It's our willingness to reach deeper into that vulnerability to be able to get better and more specific evidence. But I don't know. Because they could, and this is the thing, they could just apparate. If they've got the ability to apparate, they could apparate in front of everybody. We could have like I don't know if you've watched The Leftovers, where half the world's population disappears. We could have a mass apparition where everybody in the whole world for a few minutes sees their loved one waving at them, and then they disappear. So they obviously don't want us all to believe. The sound of my brain exploding. Well, Cheryl, I never shy away from a question, but I don't think I can answer this one to your satisfaction. I'm hoping some other listeners will have their take. And therein lies this episode's end. Thank you all very much for listening, and I will see you on the final episode on the next one.